Am I the a-hole for not sharing a bank account? I, 29 female, have been with my fiancé, 30 male, who we'll call Dave, for 10 years, and we are supposed to get married in the fall. We don't currently live together, and last week we met with a financial advisor. I've been working with him for 6 years personally, and my fiancé has never spoken to anyone about finances, so I picked him, as I trust him already, to talk about combining assets as we plan on completely sharing finances. I was worried I'd be bringing very little to the table. I finished my specialized training last year, so I've either been a full-time student with no actual income or making a very small salary that hardly covered my bills since high school. I basically have my card minimal savings, but I have paid off all my debt. I currently make about 75% of Dave's income. Dave's been working for the last 6 years in a very well-paying job, so I figured he'd have more assets. His finances were so terrible my advisor actually called to speak to me after our meeting to tell me to keep my finances separate from Dave's. The reason is that Dave is essentially supporting 7 other adults, his parents and 5 siblings. 4 are adults. His parents had 7 kids and can't support them in one minimum wage income. They had a lot of government aid, but now that the kids are adults, that stopped. I knew Dave helped out when his siblings were younger. I thought it was admirable that he was willing to help ensure his siblings had a decent home to live in. But now that they've all grown, I don't agree with continuing to help like he is. And honestly, now seeing what he actually paid, I think it's always been way too much. In the last 3 months, he spent over $15,000 on them for things like repairing the roof, putting in an AC unit. AC is not standard or necessary where we live. Heat is. And then paying for them to run it, etc. I'm floored. I told him I wasn't comfortable sharing bank accounts anymore. I tried being diplomatic, but instead it turned into a fight. He was angry that I don't want to help those in need, only my family. I gave my brother all my savings, $5,000 last year when he fell in hard times, but he's paid me back almost $3,000. I wouldn't mind helping his family occasionally, or if they used the help to try to turn things around. My family can give and take. I gave my brother money because I knew he was going to put it to good use. Dave's family just takes, spends, and asks for more. I'm worried if we share accounts, then Dave will start giving my money away too. I told him the only way I can see this working is that we keep things separate. We split bills equally and control our own spending money, though I worry how this would work with kids. But I just don't want our family to suffer for his family's mistakes. Dave is calling me the a-hole, as his family and some friends. Dave went around telling our friends about how I'm a hypocrite and don't trust him. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. And if your financial advisor went so far as to warn you, I'd take his advice. Fiancé calling you the a-hole and bad-mouthing you to others is so very not okay. If that is how he acts about this, what happens when you have other big disagreements, like buying a house, having kids, how to raise them? Don't tie your finances to his, obviously, and get a prenup even if you go through with this. Oh, OP, not the a-hole. But you need to lay down an ultimatum. You can't marry this guy unless he gets on the same page with you. You can't even share a life with him if he's spending $5,000 a month on a bunch of deadbeats adults, and won't even hear forcing them to move forward with their own lives. This will be the rest of your life, with him and his family insulting you for every rational choice you make. God forbid you have children. Get out of this relationship. You still have time to find someone great and have the life you want with them. Not the a-hole. I'd suggest you reevaluate everything in the relationship. His family is now full of adults, and all he's doing is enabling them to be leeches. They're calling you names because you just burst their bubble. Not the a-hole. You're not being an a-hole. You're being smart. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Edit. I was gonna refrain from commenting on your relationship, but together for 10 years but not living together? Him expecting you to make your money available to his family. His behavior towards you when you're just trying to protect yourself. Maybe there's another decision you need to be smart about. Not everyone lives together before marriage. Even if it takes 10 years to get married. We were very young when we first got together anyways. We've had our reasons, including long distance for a few years due to my schooling. That's really not an issue at all. I do agree that his behavior about this issue is a huge concern, and I'm considering walking away from him. It's out of character for him, or maybe he's just gotten so good at hiding it. I don't know. Now for the update. Thank you for all the support and advice, everyone. It is appreciated. Dave ended up seeing this post. and it forced my hand a little earlier than I was prepared for. But we talked/argued, but ultimately we're done. He admitted to hiding this from me because he knew I'd be upset and wanted to go back to counseling. I didn't realize he stopped therapy last year. He never said he was still going, but he did imply it a number of times and admitted to hiding that too. He has a lot of baggage. His parents did serious damage to him, and while he really has done an amazing job of getting out of that situation and breaking the cycle, he's got a lot of baggage. And unfortunately, that baggage is not something I'm willing to carry because I just can't trust him anymore after his massive lie. He feels responsible for his siblings struggling so much, and while he hasn't said it, I think he wants his parents' approval too. He knows it's not healthy what he's doing, but he also admitted that he doesn't really want to stop, because again, he feels like he owes it to help his family since he's the only one who's done well. He doesn't think a family needs a big house, an apartment is fine, or that kids need extra activities like piano or dance lessons. He thinks we would be fine basically living off my salary. And we would, but it won't be the life I want. And I don't think I'll ever trust him again. And I don't want that kind of marriage. It breaks my heart, but I need to leave for my own sanity. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my roommate's new girlfriend in my home? I, 23 male, live with my roommate, 21 male, and we get along great. Hardly ever an argument. About a year ago, I broke up with my ex, 20 female, because I had finally caught her cheating on me. We had a year-long relationship, full of emotional and mental mistreatment from her. It took a lot of courage to finally accept she isn't the one and to break off all communication. I really loved her, but I have finally let her go and moved on. My roommate was a huge help in supporting me to get over her. Then about a month ago, it came to my attention that my roommate was texting my ex as friends. This didn't bother me, because it really doesn't have anything to do with me. Had I not seen the text, I never would have known. Within the last week or so, it has come to my attention that they're looking for a relationship together. This in itself doesn't bother me, as they are both adults and I have no place in this decision. The part that bothers me is the fact that she would be coming to our house regularly to hang out with him and spend the night. My roommate knows I spent a year being mentally taken advantage of and cheated on, and another 6 months to finally get over it and become mentally healthy again. I was depressed for so long just thinking about her. Still, I decided to see how things would go. She came by the other day, and it was as awkward and hostile as I could expect. She was asking demeaning questions and saying rude comments like, "I see your room is still a crap hole," and "It's really taking you this long to find a new girlfriend? When are you going to get over me?" And "I'm sure your roommates will be much better." Of course, these are things I can ignore. However, I don't think I should have to put up with that. I could barely handle the hour she was here, let alone the foreseeable future. My roommate never spoke up against her, despite her rude comments. He knows what she did to me and what she's now doing. But for lack of a better term, he's pee-whipped in my opinion. I had a talk with him yesterday and told him he can either move out and have a relationship with my ex, or he can stay here and promise to never bring her into the house. I told him that since I'm the sole homeowner, he needs to respect my rules. And while I hate to limit his stay here, I do not trust her in my home, and I won't put up with her mind games. He told me it's just because I'm jealous, and now there's a rift that I can't say we have ever had before. I made it clear he's more than allowed to have a relationship with her. She is simply not allowed in my home. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This dude knows the hell she put you through and still wants to date her? I need to know nothing else about his character to know you'll be better off if he moves out. And she may well be dating the roommate simply to needle Opie. She sounds like the type, and her behavior is certainly in line. I have a feeling that if roommate moves out of Opie's house, the ex is going to drop him quick. He'd be of no more use to her. Not the a-hole. But your roommate choosing to date someone who totally screwed you over definitely makes him the a-hole if he expects you to just put up with it. It's easier for him to blame it on your jealousy instead of admitting that he's dating a giant red flag of a woman. Definitely not the a-hole. I think you made some good boundaries, and if he loves her so much, he can spend time with her at her place. Honestly, ditch the roommate. He is dumb enough to not realize he's being used as a tool for deliberately trying to hurt Opie. Title: Yes, of course you... Story? Holy crap. Never mind. No, dude. You're absolutely not an a-hole. This is a vicious, horrible person, and you're well within your rights to ban her from your one safe space. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my sister's birthday gathering after she announced her engagement? Me and my sister lost our mom since we were kids, and my dad married a single mom who had a son 2 years older than me. Our stepbrother was nasty, selfish, and used to take my things and ruin them under the guise of borrowing. He bullied me especially because of how weak and thin I was. I was dealing with health problems, still am. He even got to my school friends and turned them against me by spreading lies and rumors. We were kids at the time, but I resented him and I still do. I cut contact with him after I moved away for college, but kept in touch with my younger sister, 21. We maintained a great sisterly bond, and because of that, I'd visit regularly since she's still living with my dad. Normally, my sister would tell me secrets, but no longer does. But I figured it's because of distance and me being busy with college. She used to tell me about her previous boyfriends, but not anymore. When I asked, she'd say she's on break. Then 2 weeks ago, I returned home to attend her 21st birthday party that was held at my parents' house. I saw my stepbrother there, which made me feel uncomfortable, and my sister was sitting next to him the entire time and were acting strange. Not like normal step-siblings, but I didn't put much attention to it. After she opened her gifts, she said she wanted to tell us something. She seemed very, very irritable and nervous. She talked about mom's death, stepmom's presence in our lives, and the situations we'd gone through. Then she asked my stepbrother to join her. Eddie stood next to her and held her hand as she lifted her other hand, saying she and my stepbrother just got engaged. I was dumbfounded, absolutely shocked. All I could hear was my stepmom and aunt yelling at them, calling them names. My sister defended herself, saying they were never siblings, and they needed to stop yelling, but stepmom didn't stop. I looked and saw my dad looking stunned, so I calmly got up, took my bag, and walked out immediately, leaving them yelling at each other. 2 hours later, my sister called crying, asking where I went and why I left when she needed my support and protection from that woman. She went on about how I should have defended her against the family, but I firmly told her it was none of my business and she needed to figure her own mess out. She kept crying, saying I wasn't a true sister, that she would have done a lot more if that was me. I told her I'd never think of getting together with my sister's tormentor, who's her stepbrother, much less announce our engagement. I hung up, and she didn't stop her guilting text about how I'm making this about me, and not considering what she really wants. She said I was being judgmental just like everyone else. I haven't talked to her since then. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. And what the heck? That's disgusting in so many ways. Y'all were raised as siblings. I can maybe understand if someone's parents were married when they were adults and they hit it off with a step-parent's kid. Maybe. But this? This is absolutely disgusting. If they thought it was above board, then they would have been honest with everyone that they were dating from day one. They can't surprise everyone with an engagement and expect everything to be lovey-dovey. Not a-hole. Not a-hole. You actually did the right thing by leaving. And we're spot on telling her she has to figure out this mess. It's a true mess. I can't imagine how hurt you must feel. There's a reason she kept back from you. It is because she knew full well how hurtful her choice would be to you. She's delusional if she thinks your family will accept the relationship, so she needs to figure out if it's worth it to her. I'm sorry, you must be devastated. I'm getting flashbacks to watching Maury when I stayed home from school sick. This is, quite frankly, nuts. And you're wise to distance yourself from it. It's not your job to protect your sister from the inevitable consequences of her own bad decisions. Not least when she's choosing to marry your harasser. Not an a-hole. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole? My mom wants me to break up with my boyfriend after we found out that my stepsister loves him too. I, 17 female, have a boyfriend, Jake, 18. Jake and stepsister Bree, 18, have been best friends since they were little. When mom and stepdad got married, we moved to stepdad's hometown. I met my step-siblings' friends and over time joined their friend group. Jake and I became official 6 months ago, and since then, I started to see the changes in Bree's behavior. Always excluding me in our conversations, barging into my room when Jake and I hang out, and tagging along in our dates. I confronted her about it, but she called me an insecure witch. I told Jake about how Bree's behavior is making me feel, and he understood me. He and Bree had dinner together last Thursday. Jake told her about boundaries, that he wants to have some alone time with me as his girlfriend. Bree argued at first, then confessed that she loves Jake, and asked Jake to break up with me. She said they have been best friends for a long time, and that it's impossible for Jake to not have romantic feelings towards her. Jake set her straight and told her she only loves her as a friend. She left the restaurant crying and didn't come home. Slept at her grandparents' house. Jake told me all about what happened when he called me that night. I woke up Friday morning to my phone ringing. My friends have been texting and calling me. Turns out, Bree and her friends have posted rumors about me in social media. Defamatory posts such as calling me home wrecker, AW, and that I have had multiple terminations. I haven't been with anyone, and the procedure is illegal in our country. They also posted photoshopped pictures of me. I told mom and stepdad about it, and they hurried to stepdad's parents' house to talk to Bree. Bree refused to talk to them or apologize to me. Stepdad's apologized for Bree's actions and said he'll make sure the posts are taken down. That's when mom told me to just break up with Jake so everything goes back to normal. I don't think breaking up with Jake will solve anything, but I feel conflicted as I don't want to ruin our blended family. Mom and stepdad love each other so much, and if I don't do anything, it might cause them to separate. So, am I the a-hole if I don't break up with Jake? Not the a-hole. Tell your mom to break up with her stepdad, so things go back to normal. I can never ask her to do that as I have seen how much they love each other. Before all these happened, our blended family was happy. Bree and I and Leo, stepbrother, have all gotten along well. Not the a-hole. Breaking up with him would actually set the precedent that Bree can do whatever she wants to get whatever she wants. Screw that. Stand up for yourself and your relationship. You did nothing wrong. Things will not go back to normal if you break up, because they were not normal to begin with. Breaking up for the sake of your sister would be rewarding some pretty crappy behavior on her part. Not the a-hole. Jake's like you. You like him. You didn't steal him from Bree. And being friends for most of their lives does not obligate people to be romantically involved. Your mother's take on this whole matter is pretty toxic, to be honest. Good on stepdad for stepping up. Glad you're getting some support and that Bree's getting help. I know, but I can't help to feel guilty. Especially now that Bree's grandparents are taking her side.